So I've been challenged to answer the question, why did I become a psychologist? I've always been attracted or drawn to psychology, the way people think, the way I think, the troubles or circumstances. Interesting, I said the word troubles first, but the circumstances that lead us to think about how we think, the circumstances that lead us to the ways that we see the world, how we see each other, how we see ourselves. And so as I learned about psychology, sure, there were a lot of theoretical stuff, theoretical things to learn at the beginning. There's a lot of frameworks, theories, models, cognitive models, pattern recognition, all these sorts of things. We learned about the visual system. We learned about poor cats getting their eyes sutured and tested on. Psychology has a rough origin. But I think that first part of understanding myself, how I work, how I think, where my thoughts come from, that's always been interesting. And I guess then applying that to other people, learning about how they think, where their thoughts come from, what their life experience has been like that's led to them thinking in the way that they do think, and how those thoughts then lead to the feelings and behaviors that they ultimately do, and the choices they make, and how that impacts on them. And then as I studied psychology, I got to know diagnosis. I got to know the cluster, I guess, of symptoms or problems that can come together that form the crux of an issue, let's say, like a panic disorder, like the symptoms of panic, or generalized anxiety or depression. What does that look like? What are the circumstances in someone's life? And really understanding all of the puzzle pieces, very interesting. And in some way being able to be helpful. I'm reminded of this image, you might have seen it. There's two people sitting, one's the therapist, one's the client. And the therapist has the client has this jumbled up ball of yarn. And then it goes from there, and the therapist, as the therapist talks to the client, it goes into, like, I think because there's 3 different colors, it goes into 3 different balls of yarn, separated and ordered. And I think psychology, or at least the practicing of it, sitting in the couch and talking to clients, sitting on the couch and talking to clients, is like that. It's about unjumbling and seeking clarity where perhaps before there wasn't clarity. And that's a really nice thing to be able to do, to help someone to do. It's nice when I experience it, going from cloudedness to clarity. That's always nice. And then it's nice to be able to do that for someone else. And learning about psychology and learning about the influences of it, learning about the influences to psychology and the psychological frameworks and models, and learning about the limits of psychology has been very interesting. Uncovering modern wisdoms has been very interesting, or uncovering ancient wisdoms, actually. Having the scientific process of the science practitioner model uncover some of the more traditional wisdoms and package them as treatments has been quite interesting to encounter. Maybe I'll make a video on that one day, who knows, but that's been very interesting. I think the repackaging of, or repurposing of, spiritual practices like acceptance and commitment therapy, where you kind of practice mindfulness as a kind of prayer or ritual, which helps you manage your thinking, and then you align your behaviors with your values, which is a form of thinking about what kind of person you want to be and the purpose of your life. These big questions that all come into that framework. And then classic CBT of changing your thinking and reframing how you see the world, which is in some ways simple and yet complex. But if we can do it well, helps us with psychological flexibility, of course, because it helps us go into the nuance as opposed to, let's say, absolutes on any given topic. We can see the other view, the other person's perspective, another perspective, and maybe not just assume that the way we see the world is 100% correct. And that kind of psychological flexibility helps a lot with mental health. So why did I become a psychologist? All of that to say that I became a psychologist because I'm interested in the human mind, I'm interested in the psyche, I'm interested in the way my thoughts and feelings develop, I'm interested in the way that they present in my life, I'm interested in actions and causes and influences that might be seen or unseen, you know, the unconscious, the subconscious, all these things interesting to explore. I'm interested in exploring the dark side or our darker elements, the order to the chaos to the order, the darker elements of our psyche, the parts of us that we might want to deny or not want to be there. There's so much to learn, so much to know. You know, kind of like that mindfulness of the hand exercise where you look at your hand for 5 minutes and you notice things you've never noticed before. And so in that way, I think there's just endless discovery in psychology, and learning about oneself and learning about another person and having the privilege to do that in a one-on-one setting. It's great. And having had now the experience to sit with clients and go through things that they're struggling with for the last 15 years, I'd have to say I picked the right profession for me, I believe. I really do enjoy it. It's my favorite part of the job, sitting with clients. So yeah, hopefully that answers why I became a psychologist, and thanks for your attention.